Welcome to the ABQ Show. I'm Wally Drangmeister, and in this segment, we get to visit with a man who wears many hats, Stacy Sacco. Stacy, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you. Great to see you, Wally, and great to be here.
Yeah, well, I have, what do I have? Professor, entrepreneur, networker. Stacy and I got to know each other. We were both doing a business networking course, and somehow we used to cover for each other, and then we got to work together.
Right.
Well, the big joke back then was we were like twins from the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito show, and I always needed to be clear that I was Arnold. So anyway, Stacy, we
wore the same suits.
The same
was
suit.
terrible.
Yeah, it was horrible.
But we sure had a fun time.
Well, Stacy, you have so many things that you do, but I wanted to start off with a project that you've done for many years now, NMNetlinks.
Yes.
.com, the website. Tell us about that site and just a high level of what's on there, and I've got some specific questions after that.
Okay, great. So really you need to know one little piece of that story. I left New Mexico, went to Orange County for 20 years. When I came back, I was at a job fair, and I met several people saying, well, there's no jobs here. So I had a list of the jobs I was applying to. So I gave it to them, and they were shocked. Why would you give us your job list? I'm like, well, I need one job.
Yeah.
And if you got the job, it might mean that you're the better candidate, which is good for everybody. So now I put that on a website, and then it started with the jobs list. Every month I try to update that. There's about 200 jobs, mostly marketing, but now I've added tech, and I think I have probably one of the longest or largest lists of tech jobs here in the local area. But it's actually statewide. And then I've added in a whole other slew of things. There's over 3,000 links there to small business resources, the Albuquerque Entrepreneur Ecosystem, and then about 20 different organizational lists, like all the groups that tie to technology market, all the groups here that tie to human resources, healthcare. So that it can be used in a couple different ways, and that's why I do it. And I do it for free because I want to help the state and the city really move forward and expand what we've been doing and starting, and certainly with our new mayor have been really adding to what I think the focus is about making New Mexico and Albuquerque better.
Well, I go to the site probably once or twice a week just
Right.
because it's a fantastic resource. Examples of things you can find there are directory of professional associations, everything from the Restaurant Association,
Right.
NAOP, the Office Association, and everything between 506 of those. So
there's 506 groups, right?
Yeah, that are on that one. Young leaders organizations, a lot of other things. But recently, I found some new stuff on NMNet.
What did you find on there?
I found a piece by none other than Stacy Sacco, 101 Things Burqueños Can Brag About. Talk a little bit about that list.
So, well, we talked about it earlier. There's been a lot of folks, well, we've heard this story over and over and over, this narrative that New Mexico is the bottom of this list and whatever. And I know there's been a lot of people over the years who've said, we need to have a new narrative. And most recently, I heard David Campbell from the city speak at the TEDx conference here about we need a new narrative. And then right after that, we had a group of people, including Emily Howard from the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center, Alexis Kirshner Tappan from AKT Communications, and you know all these folks, Anna Marie Hinton, Albuquerque Economic Development, and on, wrote an article, or there was an article published about how we need to quit bagging on ourselves but start bragging.
Yeah.
So I took some of the articles I wrote and some of the things they've wrote and put it into a longer list called the 101 Things Burqueños Can Brag About. And there's a lot of things. We are really on the top of so many lists, and we need to really have a new narrative. I think David was correct in that. And you and I have more of that positive messaging all the time, but this sort of put it in a place where you can go to it. I think you'll be surprised about so many of the different things we're actually really, really good at, and we need to keep telling that story, start telling the story. But it really sort of came from, a lot of it when I first moved back was Mayor Kenny.
Yes.
He was
Harry Kenny.
Harry Kenny.
Yes.
I never really met him. You may have known him.
He was a character and a half. He's a great guy.
So I guess he got tired of hearing that people would come here and get in a taxi and the taxi drivers would say negative things. So then he, for 5 years, became a taxi driver while he was mayor, I guess.
Yeah, he
and would
didn't
tell
need the
this
money.
positive
He
stories,
did it
right.
for fun to talk to people.
So it would change the narrative then. So I think for me, a lot of it sort of started with that, and then I used to write a column for the Albuquerque Tribune, and then all that Ann and Alexis and Emily are doing now is really taking it to another level. They have a website about, start bragging about Albuquerque or ABQ.
Well, just to give you an example of some of the things that are in here, excerpt 3 I love, you know, we talk about land of mañana, the negative, not tomorrow, just not today, which is like the slow, but you turn that around and you have several examples of basically where New Mexico is on the cutting edge, ahead of our time, and it's everything from Clyde Tombaugh, New Mexico state professor who discovered Pluto, on, yeah, just talk a little bit about some things like that.
I had said that in an article years ago, and I think I actually heard that from Gary Tonjes at Albuquerque Economic Development. I think he's one of the first to say that for me, but Emily put it in this article recently and really embraced that whole idea and explained it a little bit more, and I think there's huge value in what that group is now saying, is that quit, you know, again, saying we're land of mañana and that's a negative. We're land of tomorrow. We have so many cool things we're doing here that we're on the edge of, between the labs, between all the technology, things that are happening now. You've got what Lisa talked about earlier, Innovate Albuquerque, certainly what's going on with, we're sort of, I think, reinventing co-working through Fat Pipe and some other groups here. So there's a huge change, and I think we need to start talking about that change, and that we're going to really become and be leading the edge of what's tomorrow, not always talking about mañana as a negative.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and let's just talk a little bit about, I guess it's your day job, even though I know you teach classes in the evening, you do at the University of New Mexico, Stacy.
So when I first moved back, which was about 20 years ago, the first 13 years I taught, I would work in the day at West and the chamber, but at night I would teach. Now I'm full-time faculty at UNM Anderson School of Management, and I teach entrepreneurial studies. I teach, actually, Gavin Leach and I with the Freshman Learning College through Rob Del Campo and some other folks over at the Innovate Albuquerque, we created a new class called Shark Tank.
Okay,
so we actually have these freshmen come in, they come up with some business ideas, and then at the end we have them pitch to some local investors. So, and we've had a couple that have actually got investments, so we're really excited about that. It's kind of a crazy class because it's, you know, everything's new, and we're trying to really help sort of foster this different idea for people that you don't have to go get a job for somebody else, but you can create your own job through starting a business. But so I teach in the day and now at night, and then I also head up the Small Business Institute. That's another job I do at UNM Anderson School of Management, and that's where we marry 4 or 5 students. Actually, we have about 35 teams of 4 or 5 students that are MBAs. You can apply to the SBI to get help or resources from those students. Their class project for this semester is not a Harvard case study. You're the case study.
It's a real business problem that business people come to.
So you would come to us, you can apply, you can go look up SBI at UNM, Small Business Institute, apply. We're right in the middle of taking applications this week. So, and we used to charge $500 for those studies, but Bank of America and the Mondragon, Paul, has given us money to fund that, so it's free right now. But we work with small business. We probably need to rename ourselves because we work with a lot of nonprofits, or rebrand ourselves, and we work with a lot of government agencies. Last year we worked with the National Hispanic Cultural Center. We did some work with a couple commercial real estate companies. We actually enter those in a competition against 75 other schools that do the same kind of experiential learning. And every year since I've been involved with that, and I can't take the credit for that, but our teams have won first, second, or third in the 2 categories we compete in. And we just heard recently we won again, so we're sending some of the students to go pick up their plaque in Orlando in about 2 weeks. We don't know what we know the category, but we don't know if we're first, second, or third. But whenever I hear about people saying, oh, New Mexico's negative again, boy, I can tell you about some amazing students at UNM, Anderson School of Management, that have really led the charge in helping small businesses and nonprofits here update what they're doing, create a marketing plan, business plan, and move what they're doing forward, and then we're getting national awards for that.
So how long, what's the current enrollment cycle or application cycle if you were a business that would be interested in that?
So generally it's the first couple of weeks of the semester, which we're now towards the end of, You can apply, you go to our website, it's actually sbi.mgt.unm.edu, that's too long, just put in
Small business,
SBI
yeah.
Institute at UNM. And there's a 2-page application to fill out. Once you send that in, then we take all those applications, and we've been doing that this week, presenting them to the classes for the students to choose what best aligns with their career plans. And so then they're coming to you with, they're passionate about your industry. Then for the whole semester, they work with you, they meet with you 3-4 times, and at the end they make a presentation, probably a 30 to 50 page report and about an hour presentation. And we just get incredible accolades from all the folks we've been working with about, wow, these students really captured the essence of what we're trying to do with my business and help give us new ideas and recommendations to move forward. So.
All right. So Small Business
Institute.
So go to the UNM website, unm.edu, and type that in.
And I was going to say, a lot of that's also on the NM Net links. I definitely encourage you to go there. And you know, one of the lists you may have mentioned on there, or that ties to the 101 things to brag about, when I first moved back, I had a lot of friends from Orange County who were saying, oh, there's nothing to do there. And I said, yeah, there's a lot to do. So I made a list of 101 things to do that are sort of cool, amazing things to do in New Mexico. Of course, there's the tram and the balloon fiesta, but that list now is, how many do I have on there? 296 great things to do here, because every time I present that, somebody says, oh, you missed something.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot, like Bubonicon, the Science Fiction Authors Conference here. Who knows about that? Well, it's pretty amazing. I got to sit with R.R. Martin at the last one. And Fractal Fridays. There's all these cool things happening people don't realize. So.
All right. Well, we're visiting with Stacy Sacco, the operator at NM Netlinks, and so much more. When we return, we will visit a little bit more about some of his networking and other projects. You're watching the ABQ Show here on ProView Network.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide coaches award program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
Dreamstyle Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dreamstyle Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dreamstyle Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Motto Mortgage Brokers works hard to give you more options. Hear why Emilio Vallejo's local brokerage is the perfect fit for this growing family. Call Emilio Vallejo's 505-506-9820.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth that's real tough, backed by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Welcome back to the ABQ Show. I'm your host, Wally Drangmeister, and we're visiting with Stacy Sacco, professor of business at UNM. Before we get further, master networker.
Wow.
I always said that there's about 4 or 5 people in New Mexico that if you know them, your degrees of separation to the rest of the state are only one person away, and you've got to be one of those.
Well, I'm in
Stacy.
good company right here. You're one of those.
Oh,
5.
thank you.
Absolutely.
And you do a lot of things. Let's talk a little bit more about the resources on NM NetLinks, because I think that for a business person, for somebody looking for a job, for somebody wanting to know about what's going on in Albuquerque, New Mexico, if there's a better resource, I sure haven't found it. As I say, I go there all the time. One of your lists is the Albuquerque entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Correct.
You have 371. What's an example of what the sorts of organizations that you list on there?
So anybody that's starting a business usually needs assistance with a whole range of things. One is sort of thinking about what are they going to build and put into a business plan. So there's a lot of organizations that would help you there. Albuquerque SCORE, New Mexico Small Business Development Centers, West, and on and on. And then now you're getting started. There's sort of a life cycle of a business. Right. So the next stage might be they need some funding. Well, now you got the banks, Wells Fargo. They have Wells Fargo Works, which is great. Newsenda Credit Union, they've got a lot of those. But we also now have, for small businesses that are really needing just a very small loan to kickstart what they're doing, you have 3 micro lenders here, West, Action, and Loan Fund. So funders are listed in there. And then I also have, now you need to find a place to come work. Well, you can do it out of your garage, or you can go to something like Fat Pipe and have an office where you get to meet other people. It's a great resource, too, for connecting. And then next up, okay, now you may need some help with training and what you're going to do next with human resources. So I have a lot of those groups listed. But it's really about all the stages of you starting a business and what are some of the things that you're going to encounter as needing resources and connections to get information. And there's so many resources here. I always laugh, well, you and I know this, there's about 150,000 businesses in the state that are registered, 100,000 active, but there's only about 200 that are 200 employees or more. I have that list on there too, the largest employers. So what does that tell you? 99,000 something of our businesses are all small
businesses, yeah.
Every governor I've tried to get to and say, we should rename the state not the land of enchantment, but the land of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
That's what we really are. And so that's going to be, I think, and we all recognize the future growth. We can depend on the labs and other government agencies, but ultimately, what's really great about New Mexico is we have so many small businesses, and quite honestly, I think it creates a different qualitative experience for somebody because you're part of a family business. You have this rich resource. It's qualitative. It's different. I worked in Orange County. Everything there is corporate,
right.
And it's pretty anonymous.
Right.
Where here you're part of a family of businesses and communities that really help support you. So this is a great resource to go to start getting a handle on that. Of course, if you don't see something there, send me an email. I'm happy to connect you into a particular person or another resource that I might have, because I don't have all my lists on there.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that this is great for, and I go to pretty regularly, is events. You have 160 upcoming events that are on there, but there's one in particular I know you've been involved with for a long time that I want you to explain to people what it is, because I think this is one, if you only go to one event this year in the business community, I think this is always the good one, and that's the Marcom Mixer. First of all, what is Marcom and what is that event about?
So, interesting enough, when I left New Mexico, went to Orange County, I was in senior marketing spots. I was national marketing manager for Hyundai and their finance company, et cetera. And I started the American Marketing Association over there. When I came back here, not that we got together that much over there, but we did have joint meetings, and there was just this sort of rich connecting points between these groups, so they helped really with each other's programs. So I came back here, and a lot of these groups weren't talking to each other. So I was on the board with AMA, got Public Relations Society of America, AdFed were the first 3, and then we brought in other groups, Women in Communications, Women in Networking. There's a whole bunch. In fact, there's about 20 that I connected with and said, why don't we have a mixer every year?
And that's marketing and communications.
So it's marketing
is the
and
focus.
communications, directors of marketing, but other people come that are suppliers to them or vendors, or people that are coming to help meet people to maybe find jobs, because we get a lot of the ad agencies. And so for the first 4 years, I kind of ran it on my own. Then Laryl over at Albuquerque, the magazine, stepped in and said, how can I support this? So he basically runs the back end. I run the front end. We need to get about 250 people to make it work, but we generally always get 350 to 500 people at this event. We took out the whole rail yards one year. We actually had it at Fat Pipe one time. We sort of squeezed in between all the tables. Had a ball. Lisa was so generous. And then this next year, well, the 14th, this will be our 14th year to run it. We're going to do it in probably May or April. We're still trying to find a location. But it's a great resource, and if you go to my website, NM Netlinks, I'll certainly have some flyers about that on there. Or, you know, I do send out an email every month or two about all the additional resources I'm hearing about, and I have now 5,000 subscribers to that list.
And you can sign up on nmnetlinks.com.
That's right.
And just get that free email.
And I'm putting out one this weekend, so
yeah.
if you get up there this week, you're set and ready to go.
Well, let's jump a little bit further.
Sure.
And this is not that no less valuable, but one of the lists that's really intriguing to me, it's a kind of new one. It's things to do for people with discerning taste. What is on that list?
Oh my gosh. That's the other more popular list. The one is the entrepreneur ecosystem or ecosystem. But what was funny is when I moved back from California, a lot of my friends over there were like, why are you moving to New Mexico? There's nothing to do there. I could have been Paris, France. There's nothing. Once you're leaving Newport Beach, what's wrong with you, right? Has nothing really to do with New Mexico. But a few of them were visiting, and so I said, oh, uh-oh, because now they're going to really test my comments. So I made a list of 101 amazingly cool things to do here, and actually gave that as a lecture through the Tony Hillerman series at UNM Continuing Ed for a couple of years. But every time I give that speech or share that list, somebody always calls me later and says, you dummy, you missed 3 things. Right. In fact, I got an email this morning from somebody saying you should put on there the Guild, and there was another one. Oh, that new artosphere or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm like, well, yeah, you're right, I forgot it. Yeah. So I'll add those in. So whatever the number is there this afternoon will be 2+.
Yeah, so it's 296 right now.
So it'll be 298.
All right.
So if you know of a group, but the whole idea was it's a wonderful resource if you have people coming here to visit and say, and maybe again, in a way, brag about all the cool things we have here. So again, it started at 101 and now it's up to almost 300. But it's a great list, and I put it into categories like places to take your kids, hiking, lectures. We've got amazing lectures here at Santa Fe Institute. I don't know if anybody knows that.
Yeah.
You've got Osher Learning Institute, Lifelong Learning, UNM Continuing Ed. It goes on and on and on, and you know, it's right there to go partake in. It's just, do you know about it? Of course, there's ABQ 365 and ABQ to do that you can go to for other things like that, but this will have all those in one place.
Yeah, a good example is a project that I really like, the 48-hour film project.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Film teams get together, they're given a topic, and they have 48 hours to come back with a, I believe they're like 5 to 7 minute films. There's on the topic, and it's a contest. It's fantastic piece of work. That's on there.
They should host that when they do the coffee conference, because you're going to need to stay up for 2 nights.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we should meet on that one. I'd love to do a science fiction film.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to do.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Well, Stacy, in the short time we have left, just talk to me about your background as a networker, and if somebody you've taught the class, I learned a lot from you. Just in terms of business networking, what do you suggest people do if that's something they're interested in? They're doing it for sales, they're doing it for resources, they're doing it for other things.
So just one thing is, when I went to El Dorado High School, I was really a little shyer than I am now, of course. We all were.
Yeah.
So to get out, I went to Toastmasters for many years, and I traveled Up With People, that nonprofit global education program. I traveled for 2 years. So you're in a lot of communities. I stayed in 136 families' homes. So that makes you come out of your shell. But coming back here and in business, those skills you can use to meet people. But it's not about you talking as much as it's you listening, which is what you and I talk a lot about. You're going to go to a meeting. It's not, don't start reading your script, but go there and find out what people's needs are and see how you can help them improve or move whatever they're doing forward. You be a resource to them. you'll find that's better networking than trying to sell something or read your script.
Well, and Stacy, when you and I used to do networking classes
Yeah.
together, we always knew it was about listening, and we taught that. But after doing this for, we were done it for close to a decade, there were finally 2 women that really brought it home, and they told us, I remember this, remember it well, they said, well, Wally, you and Stacy are outgoing. You like people.
I tell this story.
Yeah, we're introverts.
Those two, yeah.
We're introverts. We're shy. And then we're like, it doesn't hurt you as long as you can start a conversation.
Right. Listening
is the most important thing. It's crazy.
Well, and I think you and I talked too, is not to, it sounds maybe too process oriented, but go to a meeting, say in your head, I'm going to meet 3 new people.
Right.
So it gives you a goal. And then meet them and ask them about what they do. That's not you having to tell some scripted thing or talk about how amazing you are, but more listen, and you'll come away with a huge list of people you've met. And you do that, go to 3 meetings a week times 3, that's basically 10 people. It's 52 weeks. You met 520 people in a year.
Well, one of the studies I found, I used to tease my friend Stacy here about it, was that when you listen, they would do these psychological tests, and the people who were good listeners, they would ask them questions about, that person, and the ones that were good listeners, people thought that they were smarter, richer, younger, and this is the one I like, and taller.
And taller.
And so it's like, from a listening point of view at a networking event, Stacy, you're 6'8", so don't sweat it. So.
Is that taller than you? I don't know.
That's
okay,
a lot.
well.
That's a lot taller
No, I
than
think
me.
the real value is to be a resource to other people. And, New Mexico, we're on in Albuquerque, we're on a huge track to move this thing forward and make it better. I would love us to be not the 50th but the first. And so how do we get there? It's all of us working together, helping each other through either resources like this or better communicating and listening. What do you need? What can I help you with? And who do you know that I don't know that you can connect me to?
Yeah.
And there's a huge opportunity, I think, for all of us to make New Mexico better, make it the best state and the best city. We're on our way. So.
Okay, so the best way to get in touch with you, just go to nmnetlinks.com, and then you can get your email and text you. I like to laugh at people. We know you've been doing this for a year or 2 because you still have an AOL email address. You're one of the few. So
it's not Earthlink or Yahoo.
Yeah.
Okay, they're all listening and laughing in the studio. Just so you know. Thanks a lot, Wally.
Okay, notwithstanding that, you're a man that keeps up with things. Go to nmnetlinks.com. Stacy, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you, Wally.
sharing everything.
Delighted to see you again.
Yeah, thank you for sharing everything.
And thank you
do.
for all you're doing to help New Mexico move forward.
All right, well, that's it for this.
Love this show.
That's it for this episode of the ABQ Show. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Come back next week.